Welcome to our video on the Suzuki DR650 RS, a purist adventure enduro with real character. We'll walk you through its strengths and weaknesses, explain who it's right for, and finish with a clear buying recommendation. Brought to you by Motorize.da, your #1 source for new and used parts. Today we're focusing on the RS with its slim half fairing, kickstarter, and external oil cooler. For a closer look, we're zeroing in on the SP42 model. Easy to spot by its angular fairing and rugged steel double cradle frame, which left the factory ready for Suzuki's full floater rear end. Born from the DR600, Suzuki introduced the DR650 RS in the early 90s as the more touring-friendly sister to the off-road focused R. Built in 1991 and 1992, SP42, it paired an air oil-cooled single with a slim half fairing and 21 17-inch spoked wheels. The RS stuck with a kickstarter, while the RSE adopted an electric starter early on and added extra comfort. Signature features included the linkage-actuated full-floater rear suspension and an external oil cooler. It bridged the gap between the rugged DR600 and the more modern DR650 SE that arrived in 1996. Key specs. At its heart is a 644 ch/le 4-valve single with Suzuki's advanced cooling system, SACS, and an external oil cooler. Bore and stroke, 100 by 82.0 millimeters. It puts roughly 46 horsepower through a 5-speed gearbox and a chain final drive. Up front, a conventional 43mm telescopic fork, out back, Suzuki's full floater monoshock. The RS left the factory with a single front disc and a rear drum. A 21-inch front and 17-inch rear wheel add real off-road capability. Fueling comes from a Mikuni CV carburetor, while the electrics are managed by a regulated rectifier regulator and a compact alternator. Design and ergonomics. The DR650 RS cuts a slim, purposeful, unmistakably 90s figure. A narrow half fairing with a square headlight, a long, near-flat seat, and a stout steel double cradle frame. The tight tank-to-seat junction makes it easy to stand up off-road, while the wide handlebar gives you plenty of leverage. Serrated, grippy foot pegs and a rugged tail section are ready for a solid luggage rack. Seat height comes in around 890 millimeters, about 35 in, yet it stays manageable thanks to the narrow waist. A practical touch, a large, easy-to-read analog instrument cluster with a trip meter. Perfect when you're counting on a manual fuel tap and a reserve setting. Handling and everyday practicality. The RS feels light on its feet. The 21-inch front wheel communicates clearly. The 43mm fork takes the sting out of sharp edges, and the full floater rear stays predictable, whether on gravel or cobblestones. The torquey single pulls hard from down low, and the 5-speed gearbox suits its unhurried rhythm. It racks up daily points with a generous steering lock and a slim silhouette, ideal in city traffic. True to the model, there's a cold start ritual with the decompression lever. Once you've got it down, it fires reliably. Practical too. A sturdy center stand, offered as an accessory in some markets, makes chain care and roadside tire changes a breeze. Strengths and highlights. The DR650 RS wins you over with rugged simplicity and honest, no-nonsense function. Its 644cc single with SACS oil cooling delivers strong low-end torque, keeps it cool, and uses screw and lock nut valve adjusters for quick clearance checks, a real plus when you're traveling. The full floater rear suspension finds traction, while the stout steel frame and solid tail section carry luggage with confidence. A slim half fairing takes some wind off your chest and shoulders without getting in the way off-road. And a thoughtful detail, the external oil cooler is right there for easy access, making maintenance and leak checks a breeze. Weak spots and common issues. As the miles rack up, the usual trouble spots show up. A fine oil mist at the cylinder base gasket, worn vacuum slides and emulsion tubes in the Mikuni CV carb, aging, cracked intake boots. The stock shock loses damping, and the single front disc with a rubber hose feels spongy. Braided stainless line and better pads help a lot. Electrically, the regulator rectifier runs hot and is a known weak point, especially with added electrical accessories. Under heavy luggage loads, the rear subframe can develop cracks. The linkage and swing arm bearings need regular greasing and care. RSE models in particular are known for a delicate starter sprag clutch. The Kickstart RS isn't affected. Accessories and customization options. The RS is a great platform to build on. Larger Acerbis tanks around 20 liters extend the range and are mostly plug-and-play. Progressive fork springs up front and a rebuilt or high-quality replacement rear shock bring the suspension up to par. Braided steel lines and sintered pads sharpen the front brake. For ergonomics, taller bar risers, wide enduro pegs, and handguards. For travel, Hepco and Becker luggage racks, soft bag mounts, and a robust skid plate. For crisper throttle response, fit a Mikuni TM40 pumper, properly jetted and paired with an open air box and a period-correct laser or super trap muffler. Market value and buying checklist. Well-kept RS models 1991 to 1992 SP42 typically sell for €2,000 to €3,500. Low mileage first-owner bikes command more. What to check? Oil cooler and lines for leaks, the carburetor diaphragm and intake boots, play in the suspension linkages and the condition of the swing arm bearings. At the rear wheel, inspect the cush drive rubbers in the sprocket carrier. On the rear drum brake, watch for a ridge in the drum and sufficient lining thickness. Check the rear subframe for cracks around luggage rack mounts and the fork stanchions for rust pitting. On the engine cases, take a close look at the kickstarter mechanism and the decompression cable. Both should operate smoothly. Verdict and buying advice. The Suzuki DR650 RS is the right choice for purists who want a light, rugged travel enduro without electronic frills. Its 644cc 4-valve single makes around 46 horsepower and plenty of real-world torque. The chassis and ergonomics are versatile, while the rear drum brake asks for a little foresight. If you want an electric starter and more comfort, look to the RSE. If maximum simplicity is the goal, stick with the RS. Our recommendation: find the most original, well-maintained example you can, set aside budget for a suspension refresh and a brake upgrade, and the RS will be a faithful companion on long journeys.